what's up, everybody? This is Jesse Ray coming to you with the sixth episode of my podcast, and this is the first episode that I'm also recording in video. So if you want to check that out, just go to my YouTube channel, and you can see me in all my sexy glory. Hanging out with my shirt off, the shirtless wonder as I call myself. And I wanted to do just a short little podcast today about the upcoming election and politics. And I want to say that voting is a really important thing, and I understand why so many people are disillusioned with the political system in America, with the Democrats and the Republicans. It's really easy to feel like your vote doesn't matter and the system is broken, and I totally get why people feel that way, but I also believe that voting is extremely important, even if you're voting for Trump, which I'm hoping you're not, but even if you are, you should vote, because everybody needs to vote to keep this democracy, this republic in check. And tyrants and dictators may depend on an apathetic populace that does not care to do shitty things to its people, and that is a big part of why the economic disparity of our country is not bigger over the last while, and to get a good history on that, I highly recommend that you check out a movie that just came out called Selling the Lie. It talks all about the way that ever since Lenin put the tax system in place that he did when he got elected, and all presidents, unfortunately since, have pretty much kept it in place, that the rich get way richer with the tax system and the poor get way poorer, and you put in the combination of all the industrial jobs leaving the country, and people just getting more and more poor. There's now like closer to almost 50% of the population is very close to the poverty line now, and that has gotten insanely bigger the last 10 years in particular, and that's exactly the way the very rich in this country want it, and that is why I recommend voting for newer, fitted, younger candidates who talk about that stuff and actually want to change it. There are some candidates out there that want to do that, and, people that run for governor, people that run for Senate, all that stuff is equally important as the president, and, I would also recommend that you check out two other movies. One is on Showtime, I think, and it's called Agents of Chaos, and it's all about Vladimir Putin's plan to destabilize America by suppressing voters, by having hackers in his country set up fake bots and fake websites, putting out all of this propaganda. I have no idea if they're doing it this election, but I assume they are. Why the hell wouldn't be? It worked so well the last couple elections, but particularly in 2016, because they put out all these articles and websites that didn't even exist that talked about all these conspiracy theories related to Hillary and the Democrats, and one of the worst things they did was they created a fake Black Lives Matter website that millions of people subscribed to that did nothing but talk about how basically black people shouldn't even bother voting, and that if they actually want to change things, don't vote for Hillary in particular, and unfortunately, because a lot of people didn't realize that the site was fake, it actually worked, and there was less black voters going out to vote for Hillary than in most elections. Most of the black populace always votes Democratic in every presidential election historically, but in this one it was way, way different. And another reason for that is that there has been tons and tons of voter suppression going on in our country for hundreds and hundreds of years, especially against the minorities. And one of the biggest things to happen was, well, one thing is that every time things get better, like there is a law passed to make sure that blacks or women have the right to vote, somebody gets very reactionary and pushes back against that to try to change that and make sure that that does not actually stick. And so when Barack Obama was elected back in 2008, everybody freaked out. And especially the right-wing, racist assholes out there. And they made sure that they could stop that from happening again in a big way as much as they possibly could. And so the way they did that was they passed a law in the Supreme Court in 2013 that basically made it so states could decide to make laws that would make it way more difficult for minorities to vote by saying that felons can't vote. And, if there's anything wrong with your legislation or you don't have a state, authorized ID, all these things that used to be okay got changed so that another Barack Obama would not get elected into the White House. And they'll maybe all in the fight for America or democracy, something like that. It just came out on Prime. It's all about that. It's also all about Stacey Abrams and her run for the governor in Georgia in 2018 and how the state did everything in its power to block minorities from voting, and it actually worked. They ended up blocking millions of African Americans to vote. They defunded the entire voting system. There weren't enough machines in all the polling places, and this was all put into place because her opponent was the governor and the guy that was in charge of all of the voting regulation and, systems in the state. And she totally would have won if that had not happened, and that's really, very sad. So yeah, I would highly recommend you watch all those videos. Movies, they're amazing, they're very informative. And just remember that, voting does change things in little ways. If nothing else, do it to get more left-wing, progressive people on the Supreme Court. Because the things that the Supreme Court decide on and the laws that they enact or vote down change everything in our country, and they especially change things like how much power the minorities and the disenfranchised have in particular. So yeah, please make sure you're registered. Especially if you live in the South or in Minnesota or Iowa, the states that have all these new laws in them. type in, am I registered to Google, and make sure you get out there and get this goddamn asshole wannabe clown tyrant prick the fuck out of the White House before government as we know it falls apart and we have a fucking civil war on our hands, because honestly, people, I think that's what Donald Trump really wants. And he's gonna get it if we keep fighting one another and don't work together and try to make things better and make things like healthcare and education a priority again. And yeah, so I think Biden is kind of an old, out of it guy, and I much would have rather had Bernie myself, but you can't always get what you want, as the song says, but you get what you need, and that should be Biden's fucking campaign song, because that would be hilarious. Alright, folks, that's it. That's really all I have to say. Vote Biden. Talk to you soon. Please subscribe and check out my YouTube page. Alright, talk to you next time.